Hello and welcome to a new lesson for English learners in grade 8. My name is Sanja Božinović and I will be your English teacher. Our today's lesson is I am a traveller. In today's lesson, we will learn about around-the-world trips, and by the end of today's lesson, you will be able to present your own around-the-world trip with the help of a poster. For this lesson, you will need a pencil and a notebook to write notes about this lesson. You will need your laptop, tablet, or your mobile phone. For making your poster, for creating your poster, you will need a globe, a world map, or you can use an application, Google Earth. We'll start with thinking about how much you already know about the world. How many have you visited? How many continents, how many countries? If you're working on this lesson in front of your computer, you can pause the video and do this exercise. Name 2. Can you name 2 continents, 2 countries, 2 towns, 2 oceans, 2 seas, 2 lakes, 2 rivers, 2 mountains, and 2 islands? Pay attention to when you use the article with geographical names and when you don't need the article. Let's check if you remember the rules. The with the names of places, the with the geographical names. Continents, you say Europe, Africa, you don't need the. Countries, most of the countries don't have the article, like France, but some do, like the UK. Towns, most of the towns, like Zagreb, London, Paris, don't take article, but you say The Hague. Oceans always go with the article, the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean. Seas too, the Irish Sea, the Adriatic Sea. Lakes, when there is only one lake, like Lake Vrana in Croatia, there is no article. But when there is a group of lakes, like the Plitvice Lakes, please don't forget the article. Rivers always go with the article. The Mississippi, the River Dee in Wales. Mountains have the article if there is a range of mountains, like the Black Mountains. When there is only one mountain, you don't put the in front of the name, you say Mount Everest. The same goes for the islands. Group of islands, the Brunei. One island, Kirk, no article. When you travel, there are things to see, to eat, and to learn everywhere you come. For example, when you travel to a place, there are famous buildings, there are events there. Can you name a few in the place where you would like to go or in the place where you live? If you're working on this lesson in front of your computer, you can pause this video and you can write as many words as you can for the things you would like to see, food you would like to eat, and activities you would like to learn in different places you would like to visit. Or you can choose the place where you live. You will need this information for later on for your poster. In this lesson, we are talking about trips around the world and planning your own trip. And I will remind you that there is a book, Around the World in 80 Days. Maybe you have heard of the book. Maybe you have read the book. If you haven't yet, I will tell you about the story in a few sentences. It's a book about a gentleman who lives in London. His name is Mr. Fogg. And one day, Mr. Fogg accepts a challenge. And it's a challenge to travel around the world in 80 days and come back to London in 80 days. And the book is about his amazing adventures with his companions, obstacles around the world, and how he has won the bet. The characters in the book are Phileas Fogg. He is the main character. He is a gentleman from London, a member of the Reform Club. And he is a gentleman who is wealthy, rich, punctual, disciplined, detailed, patient, and determined. And we'll see that by the end of the book, he has won the bet. He travels with his butler, valet, passepartout, and meets a beautiful lady who becomes his future wife, Autor, and there is Detective Fix, who follows him around the world because he believes that Mr. Fogg is a bank robber. You can find the book, the original text of the book, if you visit the project Gutenberg, where you can download or read online all the books. But you can also watch the film. You can borrow the book from your library and read it in English, in French, in Croatian, or any other language that you speak. Or you can choose one of the simplified versions, so-called readers, for the students of English. It's a very interesting book and I recommend it. In the journey, which happens in the book around the world in 80 days, Mr. Fogg says, "Today is Wednesday, October the 2nd. I will be back in this room at 8:45 p.m. on Saturday, December 21st, or else my money belongs to you." That happens in chapter 2. And then he goes on around the world with his valet, passepartout, and they are traveling light. You can see that they are traveling light in his sentence, "We are not taking trunks." He says that in chapter 3. Before I tell you where they go first, you will think about 3 things now. What could they and what can you see, eat, learn in each of the places that they visit? They go from London and then they go to Egypt, Suez, then they go to Bombay, Kolkata, Hong Kong, Yokohama, San Francisco, New York, Liverpool, and then back to London. If you're working on this lesson in front of your computer, you can pause and think, or you can do some research. What can you see? What can you eat, which is regional cuisine typical of the place? What can you learn in each of these places? Or if you're interested, if I got you interested in the book, you can take the book and check there what Mr. Fogg did in each of these places, and they had amazing adventures there. I told you that Mr. Fogg was a very punctual gentleman and very detailed one, and we know that if we read the book from this sentence here, in where he lived he had a clock, and he timed his life by the clock, which has the hours, the minutes, the seconds, the days, the months, and the years, and he always knew the precise time. But when he went on his trip around the world, and when he came back to London, he thought he had lost the bet. Why? Because he didn't think about the international date line. Do you know how the international date line, or crossing it, helped Mr. Fogg win the bet? Do you know what that is? What is the international date line? Look at this text. It will help you learn about the international date line. Unfortunately, all the articles have gone from it. So, to complete it, you have to fill in the gaps with the articles, the missing articles. So if you're working on this lesson in front of your computer, you can pause and put back the articles. Now you can see if you have all your articles put correctly into the text. Here is the text with the articles, and if you read it, you will learn that the international date line is the line which passes. It's not the real line, but people have agreed on it, which follows a 180 degrees longitude north-south line on the Earth, and it's a sort of date line, which means that if you cross it to the west, it's 1 day later. It has no legal status, of course, and countries are free to choose the date that they observe. It's time for your task. Your task today is to create a poster of your imaginary trip around the world. You can follow the same places where Mr. Fogg went on his trip around the world. You can choose your own places, but there are some rules. Your trip must be round the world. You must start and finish in the same place. It can be the place where you live. It can be any other place that you choose. You can have 9 stops like Mr. Fogg, but you can choose 5 to 7. That would be enough for your trip. And for each of the places that you choose as a stop on your journey, you must do some research and find at least 2 unique activities. Remember, things you can see there, food you can eat, activities you can learn. And then your trip must have the same theme, something you are interested in, like your hobby, like any activity that you like doing, and that can be the theme for your trip around the world. Remember to use the articles. When you say that you travel to the north, or something is in the south, there is the article. When you mention unique things, concepts like the world, something specific like the banks of the river, if there is a river where you go, or when you mention something for the second and later times, like a city, you go to the city when you mention, when everybody knows what you are talking about. Something is already mentioned. Remember, 5 to 7 stops. For each of the stops, each of the places that you're going to visit, say something about it, think of your activities, do some research, create your poster, and then you will share it. For this activity, you can decide to do everything on paper, which means that you can do your research using your books. You have learned a lot in your history lessons, geography, creation, all other subjects. You can talk to your members of your family, use the books that you have at home, borrow from the library, and create your poster on a piece of paper. Also, you can use your computer and make a digital poster. If you're working on a computer, a very good idea is to use the application called Google Earth. You can see the link to it. It's a free application. The link is on the right hand side, and you have 3 different illustrations how you can see the globe. You can pick places on the globe and you can visit them virtually with the help of that app. You can learn about the places, you can see them in 3D. The third picture, the one to the right, is how you see London, for example. And the smallest picture is the picture of some mountains. So whatever you decide is quite all right. A paper poster, an online poster, equally nice. Don't forget to share your poster. If your poster is a paper poster, make a photo of it. If it's a digital poster, share a link to it. Share your posters on this Padlet wall. I have created a Padlet wall for you. It's bit.ly around the world 80A. Please share your poster there. When you have created your poster and shared it, here's a checklist for this lesson. Have you created your poster? Described 5 to 7 stops? Described 2 activities? Checked that all the places have the proper articles? Have you shared it? And have you checked other posters on the wall? I hope that will be an interesting activity for you. The last activity in today's lesson is your exit card. 3, 2, 1. You will need your notebook for this activity. If you have your notebook ready, please write 3 pieces of information you have learned in this lesson. 2 new ideas, 2 new words or rules that you have learned in this lesson, and 1 new idea that you would keep on learning more about. If you have completed your exit card, that's the end of today's lesson. Keep learning English, create a poster and don't forget to share it. And goodbye until our next lesson.